Welcome back to another episode of TVGP's Critical Misses. I'm your host, Boston. Joining me as always is Moonpir.
Hello.
And we're here for the final episode of Season 2. We're here to talk about 2018's Ocean's 8, which I think both of us have been pretty excited to watch.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, this whole Season 2 led, very much like Season 1 led to Fast 5.
Right.
Season 2 leads to Ocean's 8, which I am perfectly happy with, because everybody I know who've seen that love it. So
yeah. One final
heist.
heist.
Yes, one final heist before we move on to whatever Season 3 is. We still don't know yet.
Yeah, we gotta choose that sometime, at some point. I think we have been talking a lot about, in the trilogy, about the huge cast and crew of this movie, and I just wanted to run down the rogues gallery of people that are in this movie. It's Sandra Bullock, Cate Blanchett, Anne Hathaway, Mindy Kaling, Sandra Pollin, Awkwafina, Rihanna, and Helena Bonham Carter. That's 8
Literally
people.
a who's who of women's actresses.
Right. It's we want everyone. We just want to put everyone in this movie.
All I need is a cameo from Julia Roberts and I'll be happy.
Yeah. I mean, as is usual with this movie, or with any of these movies that we haven't seen, we really try not to spoil anything about them. So part of me would like to see Julia Roberts at least be like, hey, ladies, keep up the good work. But the other half of me would be like, no, let's not move away from Ocean's 12.
Yeah, I already know there is actually cameos from the previous Ocean's series in this, because while I think we discussed this last episode, while I was watching 13, my wife was like, I'm going to watch Ocean's 8 right next to you on the TV at the same time that you're watching 13.
A giant 50-inch TV.
And she was like, she hadn't seen 11, 12, or 13.
Oh, okay.
So while I was watching 13, she was like, oh, he's in Ocean's 8. And I was like, really? We're going to go there?
He's also in the trilogy.
Oceans.
Oh, man.
But yes, I know there are cameos from the previous Ocean series in 8.
Yeah.
I doubt it's any of the big names.
Yeah. The only other thing I know is that Soderbergh didn't direct this one. I know he's executive producer or something, like how that always goes. It just says producer, but... Which
can mean one of two things. It can mean they were heavily involved in the process, or it can mean they have some form of right to the franchise as a whole, so they just have to slap their name on it every single time it shows up.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I sort of don't know what to expect with this movie going in, other than I feel like my only expectation
has to be a heist.
Right? Yeah, that's really my only expectation, is there has to be a heist. I'm hoping that there's a good reason for them to do the heist, because 12 and 13 were both sort of yeah. I hope that there's some good there's a good impetus for it, and I kind of hope that the heist isn't super complicated.
Yeah.
I don't.
12 and 13 got a little bit complicated at certain points.
Yeah, and I leveraged the complaint last episode that there's an A heist and a B heist in 13, and you could have cut out the punishing the 5 diamond guy. That probably still would have been okay, because you still stole $500 million of that dude's dollars. So whatever. But I get the point in Ocean's 13. So I hope that it's sort of that there's a solid heist, but it's not the most complicated, because even 12's was fine, but 13's was maybe a little much.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah, 13 was a bit too complicated for its own good, especially when you get Le Fufo, whatever his name is, and I do realize that I've just inserted the name of the Casino Royale villain rather than whatever his actual name is.
Casino Royale is really good.
It's a great movie. Boy, can I not wait till we get to watch the 38 Bond movies.
By the time we get to it, it'll probably be 45. It's all right, then this whole year we're watching the Year of Bond.
But it actually might work out as a year if you think about it.
Because it would have to be 26 movies for us to to do it.
Yeah.
Whoops. Maybe we'll do a two-parter.
Starting 2021 with a bang by just doing every Bond movie.
Oh boy.
No, we can't do that because we have to do the DCEU in time to have the Snyder Cut as the Justice League movie, and
that's right.
We watch that
as soon as there's a release date, we can start figuring out the math on that one. Yeah, I think, and the other thing too, I hope is that the original trilogy. I think one of the things that's kind of charming, especially about Ocean's 11, is that there is a lot of technology in there, but it doesn't feel... It feels like kind of a throwback.
It's not future tech.
Yeah, like it feels sort of like a throwback, especially in the first one, where it's like, yeah, I got a server room, and we got swipe cards, and, you know, it's 13, of course, is just like, hey, man, here's a phone with a giant magnet in it. Whoops.
It tells you the difference between the movies, because in 13, you've got that Samsung... the golden Samsung or whatever it is.
Right.
That is so dated by today's comparison. Yeah. But in 12, you've got the fully realistic hologram of the Fabergé egg.
That's true. And in 11, you have like, Rusty was using a flip phone, and like he just leaves it at the end of the movie. Part of what I hope about Ocean's 8, especially with it being a team of women, is I hope they have like a really solid hacker. Like, I really I hope that there's like a really strong facet of technology and like manipulating that technology from the team, especially with it coming out in 2018. Like, I don't want it to be, you know, I dialed into his iPhone's IP address and I hacked the LAN.
You want a Ramsey for the Ocean's 8 movie.
100%. Actually, just pick her up and put her in Ocean's 9, which I don't know if that's happening. But
I just realized something as well that I totally forgot to mention in 13. Did you notice that one of the people who cashed out during the whole $500 million scene is one of the bodyguards from the first movie?
Yeah, the guy who like fake roughs up Danny.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, that's really good. So yeah, I feel like I don't have really too many expectations of Ocean's 8. I'm just sort of hoping it's a good movie, which it probably is. And then that there's kind of like a really solid heist. If you're going to come back to this after so long and like start a new maybe trilogy, I don't think they really know at this point. You know, like you really have to kind of start off with a bang.
Well, how many years were there between Oceans 11, 12, and 13? Like, I think it was like 2 or 3 years between them. And if that's the case, then we're about due for Ocean's 9.
Yeah, because Ocean's 13 was in 2007, and I think the first one was 2001. So yeah, it was like 01, 04, and 07, if I remember correctly. Something like that. Yeah, so we're
this
probably...
dumb pandemic hadn't, you know, dating this episode particularly, right. But if only this damn pandemic hadn't slowed down production of Hollywood, then we could have had an Ocean's 9 next year.
Well, and I feel like this one, much more so than Ocean's 11, there might be a consideration of we have a lot less people in this movie, but all of them are already really big. Where it's like, Sandra Bullock, like it's not like she's looking for work. Like, you know, she's one of the world's biggest actresses, you know. So
Helena Bonham Carter, like Tim Burton's wife, I believe, still is.
I think so, yeah.
Not exactly looking for work. How typical is it for Tim Burton to get married to Helena Bonham Carter, by the way? Just like,
I mean, that's like a match made in, I was going to say heaven,
hell?
But probably spooky hell. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. All right. Any final thoughts here before we start the film?
No, I'm hoping that at least 2 of the characters continue the George Clooney, Brad Pitt thing. Where
is one of them eating all the time?
Particularly where there's a half sentence thing where it's like, well, what do you think about? No, that wouldn't work. How about?
What about
too complicated? Like they just go through half sentences where they're thinking along the same lines. Like
that's a good point. I did like that.
I'm hoping at least 2 of them do that. Ideally, I want it to be whichever the ocean is, which I'm assuming is Sandra Bullock.
Yeah, I'm gonna assume. Yeah,
I'm hoping it's her and one of her people.
It'd be great if it was Sandra Bullock and Cate Blanchett. Which would be really great.
Like the one bit I saw from this when my wife was watching it was Cate Blanchett on screen. It's like that woman is eternal. Like she is as gorgeous as ever. looks amazing in his suit as ever, and literally hasn't changed since Lord of the Rings came out in 2001.
That lady can rock a mean suit. That's a really good point. Now I'm super excited about Ocean's 8. It's a ton of suits.
It's even better because she's wearing a white suit.
Great.
A white suit.
Perfect. So excited. All right, well, let's go watch the movie.
Yup.
We have returned from the film Ocean's 8. Sandra Bullock's Ocean's... Yeah, the film. I've already forgotten Debbie is her name. Debbie Ocean.
Debbie Ocean.
Yeah. Can I just start here? Danny Ocean's dead?
No, he's not. That's BS. Come on.
There's no way, because they keep hammering it home like the whole movie. Even Ruben's like, yeah, well, he's dead. And it's like, is he really? Is it like one last job?
No, this is him faking his own death to escape from Al Pacino.
Aha, that's true.
Uh-huh.
Al Pacino will follow you to the afterlife.
Yes, he will. That's exactly what this is. He's faked his own death. He just stole like $500 million from a dude. He embarrassed the French thief at the same time, and kind of got a little bit on the wrong side of the casino guy again, who I can't even remember the name of. So this is him 100% faking his own death.
Right. And especially because they show it as like the first thing in the movie too. Like she has the whole speech about parole and everything. And then, which
is a flashback to Ocean's 11, by the way. Started the exact same way.
That's true. I like that she's making a deal as she's picking up her clothes and like her watch and everything. She's talking about the next delivery. And I was like, all right, like I feel like that's something that wasn't necessarily captured as well in the trilogy, which is like Debbie Ocean is a con man to her core. Like she is always looking for the next thing she can turn around literally everywhere she goes.
Yep.
I think they did that really well.
Oh yeah, it was really solidly done. Like the whole interview scene, like the questions she gets asked. They dropped that bomb where it's just like, well, my brother, he was a criminal, rest in peace, and just like, wait, hold
right. I was like, wait a tick.
Yeah, it's really solidly done. Like I like that introduction is fantastic for her.
Yeah, and God. There's so many cool ladies in this movie wearing so many cool outfits and just doing cool stuff that I mean,
number one, like Cate Blanchett.
Good God, dude. Cate Blanchett in a suit. Like, let's talk about like horny on main cast again here. Idris Elba and Cate Blanchett in a suit is gonna destroy this show. Christ.
Like
she's so cool in this movie.
It literally hasn't aged a day. Since, like, to quote Lord of the Rings, you haven't aged a day. Like, she literally hasn't aged a day since Lord of the Rings, which was 2001.
And, like, I'm a really big fan of Sandra Bullock. And, like, I feel like Sandra Bullock does a really good job in this, but, like, Cate Blanchett, I think, is the real star in this one.
I think Sandra Bullock is a really good actress. I think she gets blown out of the water by everybody else in this movie.
Yeah, which is kind of funny. Like Cate Blanchett especially, I feel like is...
Cate Blanchett's so good. It's not one finger, it's 3 fingers. What do we want?
Right. And, like, I really like her in the van with
Rihanna
at the beginning. Like outside the factory where she's like, you're not going to pull me in. I'm not interested. I don't want to hear about it. And like 2 seconds later, she's like, what are we doing? just sort of like, oh no, she's pulling me in.
Yeah. Like Cate Blanchett is fantastic. Like,
yep.
So many people, so many actresses.
Let me pull up the list here just to make sure that I don't forget anybody again. Because there's about 8, like we talked about at the beginning here, there's like 8 million people and they're all super already famous too.
Yep.
So Sandra Bullock, Cate Blanchett, who's just really great, Anne Hathaway as Daphne Kluger, which is Daphne Kluger is such a good name.
It really is.
I I really liked Anne Hathaway in this movie, like leaning into
the dumb celebrity thing.
Yeah, like the version of her that people think she is, like in real, like this like dumb diva. And I really liked the turn at the end where she's like, you guys thought you were like pulling one on me, and you all 7 of you were like the most obvious people on the planet. What are you doing?
I do like the fact that I think it's mentioned in the trivia for the movie on IMDb, but she's like, yeah, I know bad acting when I see it, and she's literally acting alongside Oscar winners.
That's a good point.
It's like these people are recognized globally by the fact that they are incredible actors, and you are criticizing their acting as an actor in this movie that you're acting in.
So good. Oh. Mindy Kaling as the Amita, the jewelry maker, who I like Mindy Kaling, and I feel like she hasn't been in enough, and she always does a super solid job, and she did a super solid job in this movie.
Mm-hmm. Also, fun fact, she wrote a book like in like 2007 or 2008, I think, and mentioned wanting to do an Oceans remake, all ladies.
Oh, nice.
So, credit there where it's due of her coming back around for that.
Sarah Paulson as the Tammy, the suburban mom fence, which I thought she was good, but she's probably out of everybody, probably the weakest one for me, because she has one specific job to do, and she just kind of does it, and there's nothing crazy about it, which I think is good.
How do you explain all this to your husband? eBay?
Yeah, pretty good. Awkwafina as Constance. I liked her quite a bit because I feel like she really leaned into that role. I don't know if I've seen her in anything before. I recognize the name, but I feel like I haven't really seen her in too much before. But
she nailed that awkward, because she's the pickpocket, right? Like she's got the great hands. She definitely leaned into that millennial thing, surrounded by these like legends of acting.
Right, and she's like a little skittish.
Yeah, like skating everywhere and like just interrupting Sandra Bullock when she's in the bathroom, and just awkward conversation is so good.
Yep.
And my favorite with her, spoiler at the end, is her rolling around on a skateboard going like, "Yo, homie, check out my new crib."
Right. Yeah. Rihanna as Nineball, the hacker of the movie, which I talked about in the first half of this episode. I wanted a Ramsey. I wanted a lot of good hacking, and I sure got a lot of good hacking in this movie. And Rihanna I thought she was pretty good. I've liked her in everything else she's been in. I thought she was really solid here.
Yeah, I do like the fact that like many of those millennials, she refused to go by her regular names. Like, no, you call me Nineball. As someone whose in-laws call him Moon. Trust me, that's relatable.
Right. And lastly, Helena Bonham Carter as Rose, who's
I was expecting her to... Because hands in the air, I'm not a fan of Helena Bonham Carter. I'm just not.
I've seen her in a lot of stuff, and I think she's a good actor that... I don't know if I've seen her in anything where I'm like, yeah, Helena Bonham Carter. Like, I'm sure there's some part of why we're doing this show. I'm sure there's some fantastic movie out there that she's in that we just haven't seen, where it's like, oh yeah, like, all right, here's her role of a lifetime.
I have seen one movie for her that 100% is her, and that's Bellatrix Lestrange in the Harry Potter movies. She nails it.
Yes, she does.
Number one, her Irish accent is great.
It's very strong.
Shockingly good, to be completely honest.
And it's like a really soft accent too. She's not like top of the morning, ladies. It's just like, no, she's just like it's a very natural accent.
Yeah, especially for someone who has clearly lived in America for a while, considering she owes the IRS $5 million.
Whoops. I didn't know that.
No, as in the character does.
Oh, okay. Yeah, as a character. Yeah. Which I thought for her was a pretty good impetus for her to join the crew, where it's like, I don't have anything else I can do, so crime? Question mark?
She nails it so well. Like,
yeah, she's really great.
She's so good in this movie, and I don't like her at all, but she's so good.
Just like her nervous energy where it's like, I am not built to do this, but sure, I will stare at a giant necklace for what seems like 15 minutes so this camera can capture its likeness. Sure.
Yeah, and act all weird and processy.
Yes, so good. One person I don't like as a actor / TV person / person in general is James Corden, and I thought he did a great job in this movie. I was happy that he wasn't like the bumbling investigator where it's just like, what's happening? He's just like, Debbie, come on. I know you did it. I don't know how you did it. I know you did it. You and your friends did it. Here are all of them. How'd you? I don't want to send you to jail. Just give me the thing back. I don't even care. I don't care about this case. Just give it to me back.
Yeah, the fact that he put away her granddad and her dad and her brother.
Right. That's really good. I feel like he did a much better when he showed up on screen. I was just like, oh god, it's James Corden. But he did a really solid job. I was pretty happy with that.
The funny thing is I'm not a fan of James Corden in chat show situations. I'm not a fan of him in interviews. I think he's got a hell of a set of pipes on him because he can sing like a champion.
Sure, yeah.
I think it might be when he hosted the Oscars. He does like a composite of all of the musicals like during his hosting jobs. He's really good at doing that. I think when he's given a character to perform, he's fantastic. He's great in Doctor Who. He's great in this.
Right.
Given a role, I think he actually does very, very well.
Oh, okay, that makes sense. At the end of the day, I liked this more than I was expecting. I think it has problems, but I think it's the biggest problem for me, especially, is Debbie's revenge plot line. Like, it makes a lot of sense where it's like, this is the dude that sent me to prison, so I'm going to get him back. And it very much echoes Ocean's 11, where it's like, he took my girl, I'm going to get him back and try and get my girl back. But I think how it eventually played out, I think, made a lot of sense. But for most of the movie, I was like, it seems real not great. I don't know about this.
Yeah, it's something that that Lou says to Debbie, like right at the start of the, like halfway through the film, I think it is. She's like, if you try and frame him, I'm out. Like,
right.
Like one of those things. It's a solid movie.
Yeah.
Like I think it's shot well. The actors act the pants off this thing. No pun intended, because everyone's wearing a lot of suits. I love the setting. I love the fact that it takes place at the Met Gala.
Yeah, I love that it's in New York. Like, I love New York as a city, and they don't treat New York as a character, which is part of what I like about New York in real life, and that's okay because the movie has a lot of ground to cover by the end of it.
Yes, like I head revenge thing aside, I think it's a solid heist movie. Like,
yep,
I especially like the double heist aspect of it.
Because she's like, oh, right, we forgot to tell you about all of these other jewels. And just like, oh my God.
It's something I haven't seen done before. Like, where, look at the Ocean's movies, they're very clear about the heist going forwards. And like, Ocean's 11, they don't tell you how they do it, they show you how they do it by the end. And there's nothing super special about it. This is the heist that you're told about. It goes off exactly as planned. This breaks your rule of heist movies.
Right.
Because they tell you exactly how they're going to do it. It doesn't really go wrong throughout the entirety of the thing.
Yeah, they go do it.
And then at the end, you get a bonus heist. Just for fun.
Because I'm watching it, I'm like, well, she's turning in, like, I'm doing the math, like, right before the characters deal with it on screen. I'm like, wait, if she turns in a whole bunch of these things, then that means they're going to take home a lot less. And now there's another person. And then she's just like, look at this fridge full of diamonds. And then Yen comes back, which I think is really great.
I didn't like that, honestly. I think it would have been a nice moment for her to show up to meet Yen. and then Yen send his little sister or something along.
Oh, sure. That would have been better. I did like the little RC boat, though, that's like ferrying a little
she picks it out like 2 hours beforehand, and you're like,
right.
Why do you have a yellow submarine?
Right, like what's going on here? You do have a good point about Yen, though. It's like there could have been an analog to Yen in here somewhere. But yeah, I don't know how much I have to add to this other than I think it was really well shot. I think stylistically it's cool. I like that they go to the Met Gala because I think it's something that I wasn't really expecting. You know, you expect them to. I didn't really expect them to rob another casino because, like, you can't tread that water again in another new set of movies. But I think it was something so different, and like you got to shoot a bunch of cool people in these beautiful dresses, and you had a reason to have 5 million celebrities on the red carpet show up in this movie as cameos. Like all that stuff made a lot of sense.
Props to Dakota Fanning, by the way, for being Penelope Stern. Who's the really young person who meets up with Helen Bonham Carter. It's like, I know your face. Why do I know your face so much?
Yeah. I think I liked this at the end. I think it was really solid, and I think I just had a lot of fun watching it. Like, I don't think it was revolutionary. I think from a heist perspective, now that we've sort of had 2 seasons of heists, I think the double heist, like the secret double heist, was really well done. Seeing Sandra Bullock's shout some German was really great.
Considering she's very fluent in German, it's hilarious.
Yeah, she is very German.
Yes, it's great listening to her, especially when she bumps into Heidi Klum at the red carpet, and she's sitting there talking to Heidi Klum in German. It's like, good on you. Both of you get to speak. You go, well, I think it was Sandra Bullock's native tongue until she moved to America, because I believe
so. Yeah,
I think she was born and raised on a military base, I think, or something in Germany. So she's fluent in English and German.
Right, and acting.
100% and acting.
Yeah. What do you think about the movie overall?
Overall, I liked it a lot, actually. Like, I honestly, I hate to kind of phrase this considering the who's who of the previous movies, but I think in Oceans 11, 12, and 13, the first movie, I think George Clooney, Brad Pitt, and Matt Damon steal that movie. Everyone's got moments, but those 3 steal it. I think in the second movie, it's Brad Pitt and Matt Damon's kind of movie.
Yeah.
And in the third movie, it's 100% Matt Damon's movie. Like, everybody else is kind of a little bit pushed to the side. But honestly, I think all of the women in this are way better at these roles than those guys are. Like, like Clooney being a con man, it makes sense, and he's got the acting chops to pull it off. Same with Brad Pitt.
And he's very charismatic.
Yeah. Very handsome, which can get you a lot.
That too.
A lot further in life than people realize.
Right.
But you buy it from the very second you see Sandra Bullock on screen that she's a con man, because literally everything she is doing is a con. She walks out of the prison, setting up a con. She gets into the hotel, getting with a con.
Oh, it's such a good scene. Like, that's such a good scene. I forgot about that.
She just literally every single moment you see her on the on screen, she's conning someone.
She's working.
She's got them working boots on and she's ready to go, kind of thing. And then you meet Lou and Kate Blanchett's character, and she's the same thing. The first time you see her, running a con, doing this,
putting water in that vodka.
And then she's got like the nightclub, which is probably an underground nightclub when you get right down to it.
Probably, yeah.
Running a con. Like, they all nail it so well. Like, I think those 2 are better at this acting thing, at least in this case, than I think Clooney and Pitt were. Overall, I don't think it's as good as one of the previous movies, but we'll get to that in a short while. But I genuinely really like this, and I like the fact that the scale is tiny. It's one building.
Yeah.
That's it. It's not 3 casinos with 1 safe in the middle of them. It's not a brand new 5-star like hotel / casino. It's not, jet tripping around Europe kind of thing. It's literally, here is the building, here is the heist, let's do it.
Right.
A $70 million budget as well, by the way.
That's not bad.
Which, let's face it, $60 million of that dollars went to the paychecks of the actors involved.
100%. 10,000 of it went to like, here's this derelict factory. All right.
Mm-hmm. Oh. Nice place. Must be a pain to heat.
Yep. It's a good running joke throughout the whole thing. All right, well, speaking of ranking, let's get down to our rankings of this. Since this is a shorter season, we're just going to do it here right before we announce what season 3 is going to be. Mm-hmm. Just because, we don't need a whole separate thing here to get the rankings. So let's start here at the bottom with your number 4 for season 2, Mr. Moon.
13.
Ditto.
Yeah. It's a good movie. It's not the best in the series, but it is a solidly put together movie.
Yeah, but it's definitely, out of these 4, it's definitely at the bottom. Yeah. Number 3.
12.
Ditto. I was telling Moon before we started recording, I suspect that our list is going to line up here. Yeah. And so far, so good. Mm-hmm. Their weird European trip. It's a movie I really like. I really like a lot of it, but there's only 4 of these things. So, I mean, there's none of these are like Fast & Furious, where you're just like, ugh, boy, like half of this was really rough. Like Ocean's 12 has a couple of stumbles, especially near the end, but it's a really good movie.
Yeah, let's not talk about the stumbles that thing makes at the end, shall we?
Right. Every season has to have its own tunnel sequence.
Aren't you a lefty?
Right, God. Number 2.
It's 8.
Ditto.
Like, I think if it wasn't for 11, this thing would be number 1. Like, because it's well shot. It doesn't have the same style, which I think is the biggest difference between 8 and 11, 12, and 13.
100%.
Like, as I mentioned, I'm not a cinematography kind of guy.
Mm-hmm.
I think 8 is shot very well, and it looks good, but it doesn't have that style.
Well, it doesn't have like that Vegas,
which is
grime and glamour.
Probably part of the issue as well.
Right.
It does have a whole bunch of references in it, which I forgot to mention. One of the things that makes me laugh is These Boots Are Made for Walking is in this. The version they've got is sung by Frank Sinatra's daughter. Frank Sinatra being referenced in Ocean's 13 and also played the original Danny Ocean in the original Ocean's 11.
That's great.
But Ocean's 8 is a really good movie. It just loses out to 11 for me, because obviously, spoiler alert, number 1 is Ocean's 11.
Ta-da!
I think it only loses out on that number 1 spot because, was it Soderbergh directed 11?
Yeah.
And the style on that thing is just so chef's kisses, like the shot selection, the lighting, like that thing is incredible.
And Ocean's 11 is a really tight movie. I think Ocean's 8 gets really close to that. I think especially with the double heist, where it's like they fix a lot of the criticisms of 12 was like, well, you like pulled this heist and we didn't even see it. Like we were the suckers in the heist as the audience, rather than this like weird French guy and whoever his boss is. Mm-hmm. I think Ocean's 8 pulled the wool over our eyes in a really fun way, where it's like, yeah, you guys did it. Well, you did 2 of them. Like, man, that's so good. Like, you're excited about it, sort of in the same way that Ocean's 11 did it.
Yeah, and it does that really great thing, which what's that movie that everybody loves? The Breakfast House, whatever ending, where it just shows clips of what everybody is doing after everything's completed.
Oh, The Breakfast Club.
Is that the right ending? Where
where it's like...
in the future kind of thing, this is what these people are all doing.
Yeah, you've seen it in more famously recently is Legally Blonde does one of those really well.
Yeah, but he does that at the end when they're all on the train leaving and it shows what everybody's doing, and it's like, cool. Thank you for the coda at the end of the movie showing me exactly what everybody is doing. That's perfectly done. And the way it's shot, like that scene is shot fantastically, because it takes a section of what the shot is looking like and then expands that person out into the full shot and then shows what they're doing, and it's like that's great style. Where's that for the other
super
96
cool.
minutes?
Right. Yeah, like you could have used a little bit more like experimental stuff. Yeah. Yeah. But at the end, I think I'm really happy that we watched all these movies. Like I think 8 especially, I think if we would have finished on 13, it would have been like, that's fine.
Yeah.
But 8, I think really saved it for me.
Really good movie.
It's just a really solid, fun heist movie.
Again, we experience the wibble and wobble of quality as we go.
Right.
Like, fast starts low, gets real high, then gets real low, then gets real high again.
Yep.
Like, in this case, it's more starts real high, slowly but surely goes down, and then, there's a little peak at the end, just to make you happy.
I do hope that they make more of these. I hope they don't go back to it too many times. You know, that was clearly what the trilogy was getting into, where it's like, maybe you went back one too many times.
Yeah, it works out as well, because if they do a trilogy, it's 8, 9, 10.
See, there you go. I like it. All right, well, let's talk about... We just talked about our first 2 seasons. Both of them were largely heist movies. Fast Saga is also action movies. And we thought this time, let's lean all the way into action movies. And season 3 is going to...
Yeah.
Right, full-on giblets to the wall action. This is going to be... Season 3 is going to be the John Wick trilogy. This is one that I have wanted to watch. We're not going to talk about it here too much because season 3 will be out in 2 weeks when you're hearing this. I've wanted to watch this for quite a while and have seen none of it. It's one of those where it's like, yeah, I'll watch that soon. And
before you know it, there's 3 movies out and you don't know why you haven't seen them.
Right. And it's like, wait, there's a Parabellum? Like, what's happening here?
Yep. That is the only one I haven't seen, which is 3.
Okay.
I've seen 1 and 2. I have not seen John Wick 3. Which, from what I understand, is more John Wick, which we'll see how you feel about that after the first one, I guess.
Yeah, is that good or bad? By the time we get to 3, and I'm just like, oh, God, let's do another one. Oh, boy. Yeah. So season 3 will be John Wick, quick 3 episodes at that, and we will see you next time for season 3, episode 1.
Dude, I'm so excited. Bye-bye.